and then start with introductions. I am happy to present to you all Mike, who is here from the ACES at Castle Elementary. And Mike, I'm going to give you the floor. You can feel free to share screen, and you are good to go.
Awesome. Okay. Is everyone able to see that just fine? Colorful squares. We're all good?
Yep, you're
Perfect.
good.
Um, I Let me double check here because I forgot to select share sound. So I'll give it another go. Sorry.
You're all good.
Oh, give me a sec. Sorry. I promise I am good at technology. Apparently not
Listen,
right now.
sharing when you're in slideshow versus not in slideshow. I
Yeah,
know
that's
that's I always I got a little nervous when I was sharing screen earlier. So
colorful blocks. It says my screen sharing's paused still.
yeah, so if you go and just share your screen before you have the slideshow up and then enter slideshow mode, you should be good.
Okay, got you. I give it one more go. Sorry, everyone. Got shared sound. Station. Okay.
All right, we're seeing it.
Any luck?
We see it. Did you go into slideshow?
I did.
Man, we are not seeing it. We're still seeing blocks. We still
Okay.
see your original screen.
Huh. Um, Let me see if let's improvise and do this. Um, does that work a little better?
That's perfect.
Let's just go there and we'll deal with the slideshow later. All
Uh,
right. So I'm Mike Brazier. I apologize. I don't normally dress in hot pink and white suits. We have an 80s theme recruitment fair that I am stepping into at 4 o'clock, hopefully to fill the remaining vacancies. So I'm the director of extended learning with Panama-Buena Vista School District. I was excited that this was Castle. This is actually where I started in the school district as an assistant principal, moved up to a principal, and now I'm the director of extended learning, which is kind of everything from before and after school care, ACEs, ELOP, and we throw some preschool in there. Um, what we're looking at today is kind of two big pieces of the California After School Network quality standards. So, a safe and supportive environment. So, one, we're going to look at the physical needs of students. And I'm looking at that through the staff lens, and I'll share the data with Castle because it's a very interesting part of how an empowered and fully staffed site changes the impact on students. And then I'm looking at quality staff. So the program recruits and retains high quality staff. Um, and really, that's going to be the meat of my presentation is going to be talking through how did we turn Castle from a site that had uh, two two permanent employees to one that now operates with 11. So that's kind of our big share. And Castle is a great kind of case study for our whole department where we've recruited over 180 new program leaders in the last 18 months, which is pretty fantastic. So let's get started with Castle. So Castle is was a STEAM academy. That's actually me on my kind of first day on the job there 6 years ago, and so it's something exciting. I'm at the school of the principal there that hired me as the assistant principal, and so they currently have an 830 student enrollment. 16% are English language learners. 94% socioeconomically disadvantaged, and then we have a 1.7% foster youth population. Um, so a site with a large amount of need. And historically, actually, Castle was a site that was affluent and has since, so driving up to Castle, it's very unique. You have very large houses all the way around it, but none of the people living in those homes go to that school. It's really the apartments that kind of outline the school's area that support the school population. So, uh, going into what Castle was, so in the 23-24 school year, we had a total of two contracted staff with three daily substitutes, and that was supporting a population of 53 students. So below, clearly below what our ACES grant was requesting. So that could result in that reduction. And so what we looked at last year was really how are we recovering from that post-COVID struggle. And so we ended last school year with 11 contracted staff and 155 student enrollments. So tripled student enrollment, um, increased contracted staff fivefold. And so it really led to kind of some great outcomes. And so I just wanted to share something driving values with me. I really live on equity, opportunity, and empowerment. So when I'm looking at safe and supportive environments, I understand that all sites, we have 24 within our district that I support as the director. So each site has a unique and lived experience. I was lucky enough to be at Castle. The person you're going to hear from was actually the program manager when I was assistant principal. He was the program leader, kind of moved up through the after school program, and now I'm lucky enough he's my program mentor, and so I've reconnected with him after 6 years. We've come back together as kind of a team, which is great because he was the manager of my after school program. Um, and then we look at opportunities for those program leaders and managers. How are we going to build a program? Because we can recruit all day, but if we're not keeping staff, it doesn't matter. And really, that was a perfect case study with Castle, is they had two staff members that were consistent. Everyone else was a substitute or filling in or coming from another site to support. Because again, it goes back, our school district's very unique. 94% is on the higher end of our socioeconomically disadvantaged. On the other side of our district, we literally have a school that is in a gated community. So it's very unique climate to staff from just that perspective. And then the last piece is that employees must feel empowered to build a program. So this was the Castle staff on a non-student day where we did an activity called a goose chase. And so they went to different sites. And so that way all of our 24 sites could connect with each other and kind of go through professional learning in a fun way. So we really focus on people first. And that's where I'm going to start this, is with introducing really the person behind that, one of the two people that worked there and had worked there for multiple years. And this is let's see if this, can we still see the large screen?
No, but we can see it uh
Okay.
in the square. So if you hit play while it's in the square, we're good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Now I used to be program leader and program manager.
It's a little quiet.
Now I am
We're also
administration. Well,
not seeing it right now playing.
All right. So thinking back to your time at Castle Elementary as the program manager. So let me see if I can continue. What was so stressful about that previous experience as a program
stressful would definitely be
Okay, we're good.
when we didn't have coverage or we were low on staff. At the time, it was basically me and another program leader, and we would have a sub coming in, or maybe we get lucky enough to where someone was able to help out. And so, if some we didn't have enough coverage or there was insecure at a certain school site, then we basically kind of had to improvise. I think the we did that. I took over a classroom, and then if something would happen or a student would get picked up, I would at the time need to stop what I was doing, line up my class, and then from there walk, sign out a student, go back, and then resume the enrichment, which kind of it stopped programming, stop and go, stop and go.
So, what does a good day look like right now? And what has to happen for that to occur. So when you're a program leader, what did a good day look like as a program leader, or program manager?
I think a good day was we had enough coverage, or even if we had a manageable group, we had the enrichment idea as well as there were not any distractions. Maybe there was an event going on, and students were getting picked up. We're not getting picked up early. They waited a little bit longer, and then we were able to go through the full without any interruptions. Now, I think the biggest kind of what a good day would look like would be that we have someone to cover a certain grade level, and then that sub is able to grab the lesson plans that the previous program leader left them and is able to successfully teach a 2B class.
All right. So how does this new program structure support quality program policies?
I think it is a lot more consistent. Back then, we were very much so isolated within our own programs, which eventually you kind of start seeing deviations of how each program is doing. Now we have more meetings, we have more interactions with each other. The programming is just straight across the board of this is what we do, how we do things, and then from there it's more consistent.
And your role as a mentor, you get the opportunity to onboard all of it. What would make someone stay a program leader in our department?
The opportunity is, or the onboarding is a huge opportunity that I really enjoy. What it's teaching them is kind of how the program is run, what it's meant to be inside the program with the kids. And then I think it gives them a really big edge when it comes to them wanting to be teachers. We interact with so many vendors. We do a lot of components that mimic the regular school day. PBIS is one of them where we have the same kind of rules and guidelines with regular school. We adopt their same beliefs and principles for the matrices to where it just continues on during after school. And that is something that someone that is going to teach you that teaching field will learn in our district is how to use positive behavior, how to use this certain program. And so it kind of gives them a little bit of knowledge.
Thank you for your time. All right. So hopefully you're able to at least hear some of it. And really that was his experience as kind of, it was an empathy interview of what did it feel like being one of those two staff members supporting 53 students after school. And what does that look like now that we've recruited? And so the biggest piece, I was new to this job July of 2024. So relatively new. I came at the beginning of that 24-25 school year. And what we looked at were what were the ingredients in our human resources. We had some of the structures in place already, but we were still only operating program wide. We had 13 ACES sites with 30 employees. So we were still not quite meeting the mark as far as staff supervision, which goes back to, I don't know if you were able to, again, with the sound, that safe and supportive environment, like he shared, he's a program manager trying to manage a parent checkout while he's also leading a class. So he has to walk his class to the front and pause their programming as we kind of go through that. And so again, our district's not unique in that when we came back from COVID, the post-COVID recruiting slump, shortage, whatever you'd like to call it, was real. And we really looked at how could we utilize the people we had in place. And that went back to what organizational structure did we already have? So this is our new current organizational structure. Last year, we did not have any of the middle tier. So there were no directors, no. So I'm up here at the top with the director 3 with the administrative secretary and a site clerk. Keep in mind 24 programs. And so what we've been able to add this school year, 25-26, is two directors directly under me that then support four coordinators, site coordinators that manage 3 to 4 sites, depending on if it's a junior high or an elementary site. So just being able to add that infrastructure of how that looks was super beneficial. The green are ones that we're hoping to add in addition, just with the growth. Again, we've added 180 employees down here on the purple level. So that purple level down there is 8 to 10, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, what that infrastructure looks like and what I had to kind of go and ask the board to do. Um, and so I really looked at it as there were four big things that had to happen that led to us being able to recruit. So again, Castle's the case study to recruit 9 employees in a year, and I'm happy to report we still are employing out of that 11 that we ended the school year with, 9 are still with us. So for after school to go through the summer, start a new school year, we're halfway through, to only have 2 program leaders leave for an entire year, in my perspective, is pretty good. Uh, and so right before I got there, the previous director was able to negotiate two key components. One was the program manager role, which with ELOP and the 30-day requirement for intersession pushed our school calendar to pretty close to a 12-month job. So with the way our contract worked, with vacation accruals and things of that nature that CSEA already had in place, we were able to move our program managers and our program leaders to 12-month positions. So we were no longer trying to assign them extra work during those 30 days of intercession. Super huge game changer when we ran summer school last year, and now even this year for summer intercession, it's a huge game changer to have a dedicated workforce. In addition, they moved the program leader position from 4 to 6 hours. And I'm going to talk more about the infrastructure I've put in place this year that's been really beneficial, because the 2 hours were a huge game changer within our community, because that if you are staffing in-house, most of our county or our region is staffed by Boys and Girls Club or the YMCA. And so us being able to offer 6 hours as opposed to 4 was a competitive advantage. In addition to working in a school district, as Fred shared kind of at the end, our goal is that pipeline to teachers or that pipeline to quality school employees for the long-term success of a program. The other big ask that was up at the top right corner in that it was a little tiny box. I have 2 out of division support, or technically I have 5 out of division supports, but 2 that really support the administrative work. One is a payroll clerk, which is super helpful. And then in addition, we received a dedicated human resources technician. So that person was able to increase our vetting, to establish highly qualified, as well as to open up avenues for additional test days and recruitment abilities for us. So that led to us being able to recruit, provide resources for substitutes. As I said, I took over a department that had a pretty robust substitute pool, but not a lot of long-term subs, and a lot of that had to do with that highly qualified status. So we worked really diligently on how to create a consistent pipeline for that recruitment and hiring with a faster onboarding turnaround, so people didn't want to leave the job. And that dedicated human resources technician was key to that success. The next big ask for the board, because we were part of that group of programs that our threshold as a district pushed us program-wide in ELOP, or district-wide in ELOP, was to establish a base program. So we've been operating ACEs grants since 2008 in our district, and it was based on ACEs grants. So it was not a consistent uniform process. So establishing a base program allowed our waiting list to reduce down to almost we're minimal at best at most sites, whereas we were operating at a wait list 3 times larger than our enrollments at every ACES site across the board. And then the last piece with kind of the key to our recruitment success is we interview. So if you saw on the org chart, we have 8 certificated administrators, which are those site coordinators. They interview every Friday Friday morning is permanent staff, and Friday afternoon is district substitutes. And so for us to be able to interview, it one increased their ability to select quality staff. They had not been previously interviewing, but it also built us a robust substitute pool that then led to us being able to recruit back with our dedicated HR technician. We created a pathway for them to become permanent employees, which, as most of you know, leads to great things like health benefits, retirement, all of those things that are appealing, and bring in a higher quality of staff. And then in addition, my move as a director was to provide those monthly recruitment priorities. So we looked at our sites. We established Castle was a great example. We had 9 vacancies to fill. How are we going to fill these 9 vacancies with a sense of urgency that provides those students and those families the best opportunity for success? And so those were really our big keys to success. And now this year, this is probably the most exciting piece is going to that sustainability standard. And what we've been able to do now that we've been recruiting and we've been maintaining. So the hardest part is you recruit, you put in a lot of work for onboarding, and then that person leaves almost immediately. That is a very rare occurrence for us now as we've built some structures to support sustainable staff development and quality staff. Probably the biggest one has been our onboarding experience. So we have a 5-day onboarding experience. For every new program leader, it happens on the second and the fourth, or I'm sorry, the first and the third week of each month. Second and fourth, we enroll new students. So on the first and third weeks of every month, our 2 mentors, which is now Fred, who you've heard, and our other one is Viviana. They were program leaders, program managers, and now they're program mentors. They create a 5-day on-the-job training in addition to a job shadowing program. And so we've grounded it all in what's known as the 4 Cs through Behavior Solutions, which is a solution tree program. PLCs is probably their most famous one. But really, we push this of what is HR overview, what does it mean to be a good employee, what is the culture of our district and our department, is day one. Day two is classroom management. What is the climate that you are setting as a classroom teacher? So they have to understand they are a classroom teacher. They will have 20 students in front of them. Day three is communication. How are you communicating? Because our workforce ranges in age from 19 to 72. So lots of different communication styles. So we talk through with our department, what is the best way to communicate with your fellow program leaders, in addition to communicating with your manager and your school staff. Most of them interact with a teacher or the teaching grade level that they're assigned, in addition to the site administration. So that's what's unique with us is we have a separate administrative team that supports just after school that is different than the school day site administration. And then Friday or Thursday is curriculum and lesson planning. And Friday is management plan feedback. So I'm going to show you what that management plan looks like. That's the producible that those program leaders walk out with, where they can name every student move that should be happening in program, from how do students ask to go to the restroom, to how do they enter and exit a classroom, to how do they get their snack each day. So we try to break it down to tangible chunks so that they're able to understand. And then those mentors that were, again, program leaders and program managers are able to give them feedback throughout that. So that is their morning portion. Every day when programming starts, when they come back from lunch, they're assigned a different site. So that goes down to that job shadowing is that next bullet. And so each day they're assigned a different job shadowing experience. So day one, they go and view a program leader that's exceptional for whatever grade band they're assigned, which is primary or intermediate. Day two, they're going to go to their specific grade level. Day three is Wednesdays, which are our early out days. So they actually go to the site they're going to be working at, and they just shadow the manager. So they get to shadow the manager to understand what are the nuances of the actual day look like. And from there, day 4, when we get into lesson planning, their own curriculum, day 4 and 5, which is Thursday and Friday, they actually are able to go into the specific grade level. So throughout our 24 sites, we have grade level mentors that are going to be specific to, if I'm coming in as a first grade program leader, I'm going to be able to see 2 quality first grade program leaders in my onboarding week. So I know what first grade programming looks like for our program. So as Fred shared, that created a lot of a sense of cohesiveness and community, as well as quality programming throughout our district program. The big next step for us was shared space agreements, committees, and learning management. Committees were an aside. Those are something we built last year to really try and dig into their feedback. We actually have a new one coming for staff uniforms for summer. Very exciting stuff. They get to pick what kind of colors and logo they want for the summer. So that it consists of program leaders, program managers, so that we can really reinforce, again, quality staff, quality uniforms. We also had one for lesson planning and one for master schedules. And the lesson planning was probably the most important to sustainability, because our program managers are the ones doing quick checks of lesson quality. So the next piece, and the last one, is why I saved it, even though it's the bottom left, is shared space agreements. Sharing 24 schools with school day staff is hard. As you guys all know, teachers are very particular. That is their kingdom. And so we have 2 big things that we use to reinforce and have accountability, but then also shared communication. We have a shared space agreement that is completed in advance. And then we also have a classroom conditions report that managers are responsible for weekly. So again, it gives peace of mind. I've had to meet with our teaching union multiple times as a director, and their union president is very grateful, like pushing their members back. Hey, you have a broken pencil sharpener? Have you completed the conditions report for the week? We need you to make that happen. So that's been great to get that school day support, because sometimes that can be a rub. So the onboarding experience as a whole, I've broken it down. Again, we have these 4 evidence-based classroom practices that we really dig into, and those are specific to behavior solutions, which is that book at the bottom right corner. I highly suggest it. It was written by Mike Matos, who is the foremost expert in response to intervention, and John and Jessica Hannigan, who wrote Please Don't Suspend Me and the guidebooks for Tier 1, 2, and 3 management. And so we really framed our onboarding procedure in those 4. So you'll see there's a big chunk that is related to climate, communication, culture, and curriculum. And so the whole purpose of that is so that those program leaders know they're writing down their expectations for themselves and their students. So when they walk through a door, they're fully aware of what their expectation is, and then what do they expect the students to do, so that they can communicate that in a way that makes sense. The 2 weeks of canned lessons that we provide them as kind of a soft entry into their own classroom space reinforce this as well. So they're actually plugging in their program leader expectations and having activities with student expectations, so that the students can get used to the program leader that they now have. And so that's been incredibly beneficial. The next piece, again, probably the biggest one, is that bottom left corner of the shared space. So this was rapport building and then accountability. I had the opportunity to speak with our principals and share kind of what a 2-teacher, a 3-teacher, a 4-teacher, and a 5-teacher grade level look like as far as a semester and a quarterly rotation. So I built out a framework for them to sign their teachers up, so we weren't using the same classrooms all the time, building teacher fatigue. And then again, we have a proactive strategy, which is on the right there. That's that room share agreement. And then we have a reactive strategy, which is our classroom condition, which is every week this is placed in the teacher's box of whoever's assigned, and then it's provided back by the following Tuesday. So Friday, you get that in. Tuesday, you're returning it to the manager, so that we have a record if we need to address something on our end. And that has built a lot of respect and rapport with the school site staff to be able to say, we do have a system and we are addressing any concerns you may have with after school staff.
Mike, there's about 1 minute left.
Okay, perfect. I will move quickly. The lesson planning piece is the next part. I shared some screenshots in there. This is actually our program managers and the feedback they're able to provide. So we have weekly lesson plans that are due, and then you can see corrective feedback addressing whether things are perfect or whether they need to adjust how that looks and what that looks like from the program leader lens. So we do have that layer of accountability as well for lesson planning. And this is a sustainable process. These are program leaders. They're dedicated to those 10 employees. So that leads us to what's next. And that's really what we're looking for, similar to what Donnell shared at the beginning. Our focus for 26, 27 next year is how we can dovetail our student activities and vendors into these quarterly family engagement events and club days. So I'm really excited about the work we're doing in that right now. There's some pictures of what we've done already, and I'm super excited to roll it out. So if you are interested in any way, please let me know. All right, that is all I have. So thank
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mike. I know that that was great for me to be able to sit in. I hope that everyone else had an opportunity to enjoy and take something away. If we all just want to drop our appreciation in the chat or via reaction for Mike and his time, and you all can head back to the main room in just a minute. And then don't forget, tonight we have game night, so we would love to have you all join us for that as well. Thank you, everyone.